Welcome everybody to part 5 of the Artist Girl Color Along from Hannah Lynn's I Dream in Color. Now this is pretty much going to be finishing most of the coloring, and then the final part will be final details. Depending on how long it takes to record this, we might do the background in the final details part. We'll just kind of see how it goes. For this part, we're going to be working on the skin, which I will be using color swatches for, but all of the little paint details, and I haven't decided on her eyes, so I'm not going to use color swatches for them. They're just going to be going by pencil, so again, after the skin, you'll have to listen out for the colors that I'm using if you're following along or interested. So without further ado, let's just dive into this. So I'm going to be using a skin combination that I believe was Danny's from the Prisma group, which was Parma Violet, Nectar, Peach, and Light Peach. But I'm going to be changing it up a little bit. Instead of the Parma Violet, I'm going to try to use Blue Violet Lake and kind of make it more of a bluish skin tone. And I'm just kind of winging this, so I'm not really sure how it's going to turn out, but we're going to try it anyways. And then I'm also going to add white to the final color just because I like burnishing with the white, and just making sure to clean it off here. And also because I want her skin to look really pale. So let's just hop right into it here. So we're going to start with the Blue Violet Lake, and I'm going to zoom in a bit here. Maybe a little bit more. Okay. So remember that our light source is coming in from this direction, so the top right. So most of the shadows are going to be on any side of her face facing to the left. So I'm going to go right in with my Blue Violet Lake, and I'm going to start putting in where my shadows are going to be. And since I'm not 100% sure about this color, I'm going to go really lightly, just enough so that we can see it. And we'll just kind of see how it's going to look. I think I'm liking it already though, so whatever happens, happens. So as usual, I usually always add noses to the girls. It's become such a habit that I actually just recently finished coloring Raquel from, I think that's how you pronounce her name, from Enchanted Faces, and she didn't have a nose because it was one of my first ever videos, and before I started adding noses, and it looked funny to me. So if you don't want to add a nose, you don't have to, but I'm going to. So I'm just going to start just by making kind of like a curvy line. And I usually start just above the little dot that Hannah has for her nose, so just a little bit to the left, and then I just make a curvy line that kind of fades up and kind of curves towards, and I usually go by the crease of their eyes, just because their faces are so compact. Normally, the crease of a nose would go all the way up to your eyebrow, but since the face is so compact because Hannah goes with that super cutesy look, you wouldn't really want a long nose. You would want a small nose so it kind of fits with the face. So if you start off light, you can always go back in and add to it, but I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to put just a little bit of a straight line just on the other side here. Just like that. I don't even know if you guys, that straight line is so light you guys can probably barely see it. And I think we're going to try and do all her skin at once. So we're just going to be jumping back and forth from her face to her arms. So I'm just going to lightly put in some Blue Violet Lake just on the underside of her arms as well. Maybe just a little bit of a curve coming down from where her dress comes off of her arm. And then the other side here, pretty much the same thing. So I've decided that all these paint splotches on her arms, since skin is already hard enough to do already without trying to miss certain parts, I'm just going to completely color her arms in, and then anything on her arms I'll probably use like a gel pen or marker to put the paint splotches there. Just so you don't really have to worry about it. If you don't have markers or gel pens or anything, you're going to want to try to avoid those paint splotches, or you probably could just burnish it just enough where you can do one more layer and then go back over it with a color to make it look like paint. But it's all up to you on how you want to do that. I think I'm fairly happy with my shadows. There's going to be a little bit of a shadow on this side of her face as well, because her hair is kind of covering it. And then also on the other side of this little fringe of hair. Oh, and I almost forgot about her neck too. So all on the left side of her neck there would be shadow, and then just a little bit coming down from where her chin would cover her neck. Okay, so now let's switch to our nectar. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lightly go over the blue with the nectar. I'm just going to bring it out just a little bit. Carbon, you be nice to that kitty. I'm going to bring the nectar in along her jawline here. Also, I'm going to put some just underneath her eyebrows here, just to kind of make it look like they stand up a little bit. What's wrong, kiddo? What? What's wrong? 1 minute. Sorry about that. Had to do a rescue mission. My kiddo let the cat into the heating vent, so that was fun. Anyways, let's get back into this because I could definitely use some calming now. So I'm slightly going over everywhere that we put the sky or blue-violet lake down. Oh, let me zoom in again here. I'm just bringing it out just a little bit further than when I went with the blue. I'm going to make a little bit of a slight shadow here, just on the underside of her thumb, as well as just on the right side of her hand here, just because her palette would kind of be covering the light coming in that way. I'm not going to forget about this little tiny part here. I believe would be another part of her arm. So I'm just going to put a shadow on the very bottom of that as well. I'm just going to lightly go over a little bit more anywhere that looks a little too blue. I'm also going to bring the shadow of her nose out a little bit, and I'm going to curve it down and then around to meet up with just the tip of this black dot that Hannah has here. And I'm just going to fade out from that a little bit. Okay, so next I'm going to go in with the peach. And again, I'm just going to very lightly go over everything and then bring it out a little bit more. So I've been watching a lot of makeup tutorials and stuff lately on like highlights and stuff mostly. Mainly for coloring, so I know where the highlights are, because I'm not a really big makeup person. So from what I understand, most of the highlights are along the cheeks, the nose, and the forehead. So those are the areas that I'm going to try to leave a little bit light if I can. I'm not really good at leaving lighter areas, so just do my best. So I'm actually really loving her skin tone with that blue, whereas purple is, well, that color of purple anyways, is more of a warmer color. This blue is still a little bit on the purple side, but it's a little bit of a cooler color. So I can't remember what I was trying to say. I guess the reason why the cat was in the vent in the first place is because my little one put his toys in there, so now the cat keeps trying to get back in there to get his toys. So I'm going to have to figure out a way to get them out of there eventually. But for now, let's get this finished. Oh, but what I think I was saying was that the blue here gives her skin more of a cooler tone, which is something I don't usually do very often. I usually go for warmer skin tones. This picture already has so many warm colors in it already that I want a little bit of some cooler colors. Okay, so next we're going to go in with the light peach, which is our second lightest color. And I'm just going to blend from where we put the peach, and then blend it just outwards a little bit. I'm going to try and kind of save just a little bit of white here underneath her eye on both parts if I can. This part's going to be a little bit more shadowed because of the way that her face is turned. I'm going to try to save a little bit of white in there, as well as at the top of her nose here. And then I'm also going to try and leave a little bit of, just a little bit of a circle around her forehead here for a highlight. I also haven't touched her eyelids much because I think we're going to try putting some makeup on her. I'm not very good at adding makeup, so I'm definitely trying to do that more, because the more I practice, the better I'll get at it. I see some people's makeup on the girls look absolutely flawless, and mine just looks like crap. But we'll get there. So everything that the light's going to be hitting, so this part of her neck, the tops of her arms, I'm going to try and leave those fairly light. And I don't know if you can kind of see it on camera, I actually got a little bit of blue on her arm there. So I want to try to get rid of that. If I can find a decent eraser here. Okay, that won't work. Sorry, bumped my camera. There we go. And this is just a normal eraser off of The Office mechanical pencil. Oh, okay. I hope that you guys could see that. I can't remember if I moved the book before or after I colored that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back through the colors. I'm not going to do much with the Blue Violet Lake. I don't want to add too much more of this, but I do want to add just a little bit more on the very darkest shadows. So everything on this side of her face and then under her chin. And then the undersides of her arms. And then I'm going to go back over with the nectar again, just lightly. Just to kind of blend that blue out a little bit and make it a little less blue. I'm still using a lighter pressure. I don't want to start burnishing the page quite yet. So I'm also just going to go over some of the areas where the nectar is going to be used for shadow. Okay, so I like how that's turning out. So next I'm going to come in with my Process Red, and I'm going to start doing her cheeks. So I'm going to start with this left cheek, and just at the very corner I'm going to put in some of the Process Red and fade it out. And then same with here, I'm going to come out to about maybe just right here and then fade it out. And then usually I use hot pink, but I'm going to switch to Deco Pink because it's a little bit of a cooler pink. And I'm just going to go over the Process Red and then blend it out a little bit. And what I like to do when I'm putting on blush is I like to make it come out to about equal to or less than the inside of their iris. And I know a lot of people say that they kind of get that clowny effect when they're doing blush, and I could be wrong, but a lot of people seem to bring it out a lot farther, and I think that's what makes it look clowny, because when you want blush, for me anyways, I want it to be super subtle and almost look like natural. So I don't bring it out as far, and I don't make it as dark. I want it to just kind of be noticeable on the skin, just so it's kind of just a nice detail, but I don't want it to dominate the skin. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm just going to go over the processed red, and I'm just going to blend it out to just before her iris. Just like that. So now that that's done, we're totally done with the Blue Violet Lake and the Nectar. We're going to go in with the Peach. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of a firmer pressure, but I'm not completely burnishing this yet. I'm going to actually, yeah, let's use a firm pressure. Let's start to burnish this a little bit. So this area here, I'm just going to keep going over with a firm, not too hard, just a firm pressure, and I'm going to keep going over it until it feels burnished. And then I'm going to do that for all the shadowed areas. So anywhere where there's a shadow, I'm going to burnish just the edge of it, and then I'm going to lighten up my pressure and kind of fade out towards the inside. So basically all we're doing right now is we're burnishing the shadows, and then we're working in towards our lighter areas. Hey little guy, are you still mad? Kitty's not very happy that he doesn't have his toys right now. Probably have to use try and find a wire coat hanger or something to kind of stick in there to get them out. Gosh, that was a scare of my morning. I didn't think he could get out of there, because he's getting big. Thankfully, took him a little bit, but he was able to squeeze back out of the vent. I was about to try and rip up the floor. Hubby would not have been happy with that. Okay, I like that. So we're done with the peach, so we're going to move on to the light peach. I'm going to move back up to her face here, and we're just going to lightly go over the shadowed areas, and then a little bit firmer as we get to the lighter areas. And I'm just going to try and basically use firm pressure and then lighten it up as we get to the white parts. We're going to lighten our pressure up there and just kind of blend into those white parts. That's where our highlights are going to be. I know, I'll get the kitty's toys after I'm done recording, okay?
But Daddy has to fly him.
Daddy might be able to help, we'll see. If I'm done before Daddy gets home, then I'll do it, okay?
No.
You're welcome, babe.
I'm sorry for teaching down.
That's okay. Hey, we got him back, that's all that matters, okay?
I will do he did.
Yeah, please do not do that again. Okay, go watch your shows.
Okay.
I love you.
My baby fun share with me. They're on here.
So I'm gonna burnish near her eyes here, except for where I'm gonna put the her eye makeup. So I'm gonna put a little bit of the light peach at the top here along kind of like her brow line. And then on the other side of her nose. Move to her neck. Again, pretty much the same thing. We're going over all the areas that still have those white specks that are darker, and then we're just going to lighten our pressure up when we get into the light areas. I think maybe not the next color along, so not the Christmas color along, but maybe one after. Maybe I'll pick a page from one of the books that has an actual light source in the image, if I can find one, and maybe we'll practice actually making the light bounce off. So for example, I follow Max Steven on Instagram, and he just did this gorgeous image of, I think it was Sleeping Beauty, and he had this yellow light source, so everywhere the light was hitting was like yellow, so you could really see that the light was hitting the skin. So basically, instead of white here, if our light source was like a yellow toned, we could do yellow highlights, and that would be like on everything, not just her skin, but her clothes and all that. I think it'd be pretty neat, and it's something that I've never done before, so don't forget about this little part tucked in behind her other hand here. I think it'd be a fun learning experience for hopefully you and me. So lastly, we're going to go in with our white. Again, I cleaned off my white pencil at the beginning of the video. Make sure that you don't have any other colors on your white pencil. And then I'm just going to start in at the white areas, and I'm going to blend into the light peach. So she's pretty small, so we're actually not doing too bad on time here, surprisingly. So we might actually do the background in this part. Okay. So I never actually picked out color for her eyes or her makeup, so there's not going to be any color swatches for that. So for now we're just gonna do her lips quick here because I have the color swatches out for that, and I'm just gonna go in with the process red, and I don't really have much of a point on this and I don't want to sharpen it, so I'm just gonna use the very side of it to kind of try and get a darker line on the bottom of her lips here. And then the top lip is usually always darker than the bottom lip because it doesn't stick out as far. So I'm just going to completely color that part in with the process red. And then I'm going to come in with salmon pink and just color the rest of that in and blend it in with the process red. So that's it for our color swatches. So now we're just working straight out of the pencils. So For her eyes, I'm thinking a super, super light blue. So our darkest color will actually probably be, let's say, true blue. So I'm going to grab that out, and then let's mix that in with non-photo blue. And let's make them a bluish green. So let's make our lightest color light green. Which I get a lot of people that tell me that my light green actually looks like it's blue, and I don't know why. It must be the editing app that I use. So I'm going to make sure I got some nice points on all my pencils. And I'm going to start in with my darkest color. So that would be the true blue. And I'm just going to kind of just go around the edges of her irises. And then also at the very top here. I'm just going to blend those out a little bit. Because I want her eyes to be really light, I'm going to try not to have too much dark blue in here. Okay, so next we're going to switch to the non-photo blue, and I'm just going to blend that into the true blue and then fade it out. I'm going to do that on both eyes. And I'm going to go in with the light green, and I'm going to go over everything. And then I'm actually going to take my white, and I'm going to use that to burnish. So I'm going to press fairly hard and just lighten her eyes up a bit. And I really like that, but I don't like that it matches her dress just a little too well. So I'm actually going to grab out a darker blue here, and I'm going to go with indigo blue, I think. Or no, let's do Indian Throne blue. I seem to really like that pencil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm just going to do just the very tops here. I just curve it down a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to take the true blue and I'm going to blend into that. And back to the non-photo blue. And then the light green. Okay, so I like that. I know they look kind of funny because she's got no pupils right now, and I promise that it will look better. So another thing that I noticed is I totally forgot to finish coloring in the wings of the butterfly. And I'm silly and I didn't write down the colors that I used, so I'm pretty sure I used the dioxazine purple hue and the violet. Is it violet or violet blue? Let me look at my pencil chart here. Okay, it was definitely violet, I think. I'm fairly certain. Where is that? Oh, right there. Okay, and then I think I also used white. So I'm going to keep my white out here. So I'm just kind of going to color these in the same fashion that I colored the other ones. So I'm actually going to do it a little bit backwards though, I think. So I'm going to put the dioxazine purple hue on the outer edge of these little, I don't know what to call them, patterns. So I'm basically just roughly outlining the lines here, just with kind of a back and forth motion, and since this is such a small area we won't really have to do too much blending, and I find that using this back and forth motion when doing this, it kind of gives you a hard line but also kind of blends the rest of the pencil out for you a little bit. Just go back over here just a bit. Okay. So next I'm going to switch to the violet, and I'm just going to do the exact same thing, except I'm going to blend it into the dioxazine purple hue a little bit, and I'm just going to try and leave just a little white line just on the very opposite side there. Okay, and then I'm just going to go in with my white, and I'm going to go right along that white edge, and then I'm going to go back in and blend everything together. Give me a minute, kiddo. There we go. So now I got the butterfly done, and so we're going to start doing some of these paint details, which is probably going to use a lot of different colored pencils, which is why we're not using color swatches, but we're going to try and kind of keep with the same pencils that we've been using. And a lot of this I haven't written down. I know it's in the beginning of the videos, but, oh, actually, technically then, I do have them written down. Sorry, bumped my shelf. Okay, so start with our greens. So we have used, where did I use the greens here? Okay, let's grab out dark green. Maybe let's skip the grass green and go into the apple and the lime peel. So let's grab dark green, apple, and lime peel. And if you remember, that's what we used for our leaves down at the bottom. So since we have a bunch of green down in the bottom corner, we are going to make green our focused color at the top corner too. So this big blob here is going to be green, and again our light is coming from the top right corner, so everything facing the bottom and the left is going to be in shadow. I'm also going to make a little bit of a shadow here, so it looks like the wing is kind of hovering over the paint. And then let's do this little one here, green as well. And this one right here. So along with this, I'm just going to put a little bit of some dark green strokes in here, since it's kind of like an actual paint stroke and not a blob. So next I'm going to switch to the apple green, and I'm just going to blend that into the dark green and fade it out. saving a little bit of white for the lime peel to blend into. Here I'm going to save a little bit of white at the top here, and then in the center of this blob. And I'm just using a slightly firm pressure to blend that dark green in there a little bit more and to burnish it with the apple. I'm going to do the same thing down here. So I'm going to leave a line here for the lime peel, a line at the top of this one for the lime peel, a little bit here, here, and here. So just a bunch of different highlights in this one. Okay, I like that. So we're going to go back in with our lime peel and we're just going to finish blending into the paints. So I'm not being too careful with this one, I'm just going to blend it all over. Okay, so we got that. Now I also want to put some green on her dress here too. So let's go in with our dark green here. I don't know if you guys can hear the wind, but it's super windy here today. I'm glad my hubby didn't have to go out on a job. He's just at the shop today. Which is why I'm trying to hurry to get this done, because I want to start editing this so I can have it up by Wednesday, hopefully, before he comes home. I want to have it done. The recording part anyways. We're going to switch to the apple green, just kind of blend it into that dark green again, and then the lime peel, and we'll blend at the top. For the most part, all these blends are pretty much just going to be the exact same. Although this one kind of went opposite with my light source, but I'm going to allow it because this part here would kind of be blocking the light anyways. What? Yes, that game doesn't work, you know that. You're gonna have to play a different one. So I'm gonna zoom out a little bit for this so I'm not moving the page around so much, and then I don't have to switch pencils so often. So I'm going to do some smaller blotches on her dress here. So I'm going to do this one here. And maybe this one here. So I'm just going in where the fold kind of covers the paint splotch, and then at the bottom of it. I'll maybe do this one. And maybe this one right here. Alright, you couldn't see that one. It's right down here. So next I'm just going to go and blend in with the apple green. So we're just blending into the dark green and making sure to leave a lighter area for the lime peel. It's pretty straightforward. Switching to lime peel. Thankfully, these are such small areas that there's not much needed for blending, but it is a lot of color switching. Okay, so next we're going to look at our other green combination, which was peacock green, parrot green, light green, and pale sage. So I'm going to skip the peacock green for this. I'm going to go with the parrot green, the light green, which I already have here. I'll get it out of here. Okay, and the pale sage. So I'm going to start off at the top of this butterfly here. And I'm not going to have too much with this color. So I'll just do the splotch right here. So again, the bottom and the left areas are going to be our shadows. And then maybe also just this one right here, I think. Switch to light green, and just the same thing, we're blending into that parrot green and just leaving an area for the pale sage. I'm going to take the light green and I'm just going to color in this little spot right here. I'm going to try and put just a little bit of a shadow on it with the parrot green. It's pretty tiny though. Okay, we'll move to her clothes. Let's see, we're going to do, let's do this spot here at the top of her sleeve. We'll just quickly go through the colors here. Okay, and then I want to do this little spot here on her foot. And then this spot right here. Maybe this spot here and this spot here. Just mirror back in with the light green. And the pale sage. Thankfully, I think these pencils are a little bit easy to tell which one's which when I'm using them. The colors are similar, but not too close. Okay. I think I'm done with that too. Actually, let's put some here. Okay, and let's switch back to our other green combination. So I think what I'm going to try to do is every color of splotch that we have here, I want to try and put on this little palette. So that was the dark green, and I'm going in with the apple green. And then the lime peel. Okay, so some other color splotches that we have would be the clouds and these drops here. So let's get out our processed red, salmon pink, and deco yellow. And I'm going to do this one right here. This is salmon pink. And here's the deco yellow. And then I think I'm actually going to do this little swatch here with these colors. So next going in with the salmon pink. And then the deco yellow. Just kind of blend it all in together. Okay. So I think all the rest of the splotches over here are going to be with the same colors that we used for the clouds. And I'll do some on her dress. And so I want to do this top one here. And then I also want to do this big one here. And then I want to do one down here too, so we'll do this little teardrop shaped one, which I'm just going to knock off right now so I don't have to move the book constantly. Okay, let's also do this one here, this one here, and this little one here, which we're not really going to be able to fit the deco yellow in, so I'm just going to finish that one off with the salmon pink. So hopefully you guys get the method that we're using here, because I'm not going to keep explaining it because I feel like I'm constantly repeating myself and I don't want to come across as annoying. It's basically just the same thing over and over again. I think those were all the spots that we picked out. Let's do this little spot here with just the processed red too. Okay. Oh, and let's do just processed red here, and then we'll just do a little bit of salmon pink with some deco yellow right there. I'm going to backtrack a little bit and I'm going to go back in with my dark green on this one. And then apple green. And then the lime peel. And then I'm actually just going to do just straight up dark green for this spot here. just because the rest of these are pretty much just going to be our purple color, but we do have, aside from our purple color, we do have 2 other paint spots to fill in, so we'll just make those ones random. So let's do one just straight yellow, and we'll do that right here, I think. And then we'll do a blue one, so I'll use the non-photo blue on this one right here. Okay. So then lastly, we're going to get out some colors from the clouds, which were purple. We're gonna skip the violet, I think. So we're just gonna go with the dioxazine purple, straight to the process red, and we'll skip the yellow too, so we'll just use salmon pink. So just use those 3 colors. So we'll start off up here with the butterfly, and I'm going to put in the shadows first. I'm going to switch to the process red. And salmon pink. And then we're just going to do the same thing for all the rest of these little paint swatches. This little swatch right here, I'm just going to color it in with the dioxazine purple. Same with this little one there and one here. And then these paint swatches in the background, and then anything on her arms we're just going to do later on. So this is pretty much how I work in this book. I'll usually start with the bigger things and figure out colors for there, and then I know a lot of people are off-put by the amount of detail in this book, and it definitely can feel overwhelming. I find if you work on the big things and figure out your colors first, then you go back in with the little things and pretty much just try and use those same colors to kind of make the picture just not be too overwhelming, but still really colorful and bright. There's a lot going on in this picture, but it definitely has a lot of, I don't know what the word that I'm trying to look for is. I don't know, it just seems like it all goes together very well. So I'm actually going to take the dioxazine purple hue, and I'm going to darken up this blue here, because some of these blue spots on her dress will probably be with a blue gel pen. And then I'm just going to finish coloring in this little spot here. And then all we have left is the palette and the paintbrush, which we are going to do with, let's see, I think the palette we're going to use the same colors that we used for the tops of the pencils, which were, let's see here, when did I do those? Okay, so that was for that, dark umber would have been for that. Oh no, we must have done the pencils in the first part. Okay, so rosy beige, beige sienna, and sandbar brown are the colors we want. Where are those? Okay, there's rosy beige, there's beige sienna. So this is why I definitely recommend writing colors down, so you don't have to try and color match. You know exactly which colors you use, and it just makes it so much easier. Which one is my darker color out of these? Rosy beige and beige sienna. Well, I'm not sure actually. Okay, let's skip the rosy beige. We're not going to use that, but instead we're going to grab, I think, peach beige. So we're going to start off with our sandbar brown. And I'm going to start working on all the shadowed areas. It's pretty much everything to the left and everything on the bottom. I'm also going to put in a shadow behind this paintbrush, as well as on the bottom left of all of these little paint splotches, just to kind of make it look like there's a lot there, like they're raised. It's basically just going to outline the bottom lefts of those and then just kind of fade it out a little bit. And I'm going to switch to the beige sienna. I'm going to blend into that sandbar brown and then fade it out a little bit. And then lastly, I'm going to switch to the peach beige, and I'm just going to go on all the white spots and then just blend it in with the other colors. I'm not doing this very neatly, I'm kind of doing it really messily because I want it to look like wood. I'm going to go back in with my sandbar brown, and I'm just going to try and darken up some of these shadows just a little bit more. Okay. And for her paintbrush, I want to use, I think I want to use kind of like the reddish colors that we used for this one. So I'm going to grab, I know Tuscan Red was one for sure, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that. And then we also used terracotta and burnt ochre, but we're just going to grab the burnt ochre. So there's not really much space to blend it all there. And then for the brush part, I want it to be a little bit darker, so let's grab dark umber and let's actually grab let's grab salmon pink. You guys are probably really confused on why I grabbed that. So I'm just going to take my Tuscan red and I'm just going to put it, just a touch of it on the left side of this paintbrush. And a lot of it is actually going on the black line. But that's okay. So you can still see it and that's all that matters. And then I'm just going to go in and finish that off with the burnt ochre. So really simple. That's that part done. And then for this, I'm just going to, you guys can see that, I'm going to make just a little tip of the paintbrush. And I'm going to color the bottom part of it with the dark umber. And then I'm going to do the top part of it with the salmon pink. And it's very, just going to darken up these lines a little bit more. It's not very noticeable, but it just looks like the paintbrush has just a little tip of pink. I maybe should have picked a darker color, but I didn't want it to blend in with the dark umber too much, and I didn't want to go too light because we're going to be doing a gray gradient up to light gray. And I'm just going to tell you the reasoning behind that. We're already at an hour, so I think we're going to save the background for the next part. The next part will probably be about an hour too, I think, because usually our final details usually take about half an hour, so I think that'll work out perfectly, so we'll do the background then. So the reason that I decided to go from the dark gray to the light gray is, for one, because I got some purple down here. You can't really see it because I'm too zoomed out, but I got this line of purple that I accidentally dropped my pencil on here. And another reason is because a lot of our lighter colors are down here. So we've got like the yellow and our light greens and stuff, and then her lighter hair is down here as well. So using dark at the bottom is really going to make that stuff pop. And then as we go up, everything's a little bit darker. We've got the darker purple clouds, and then the writing, of course, is just all over, but we've also got the dark hair, so using a lighter color will make that pop. So that's the reason why we're doing it that way. You cannot play that game. That is not for you. That's Daddy's game.
Daddy's game?
That's Daddy's game, yeah. Too scary.
Or you don't like that one?
Well, Mommy likes it, but you can't play it.
You don't like that one?
No.
No? Oh, Daddy like that one?
Yeah.
He do?
Yeah.
Daddy play game?
Daddy doesn't even play games anymore.
Oh, he like that game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He brings in a zombie game. So, I think that is it for this part, and hopefully you guys are enjoying. And oh, I forgot her makeup. Let's finish that quick. Okay. Hold that thought. So for her makeup, I also wanted to do blue, but then we did her eyes blue, so I'm not really sure. Let's do purple. So I'm gonna grab. Yes, baby. Yes, go on, dude. Stop taking all the games out, please. So I'm gonna grab the violet, actually, and let's grab the dioxazine purple hue as well. Oh no! Oh, I just dropped my parrot green. Hopefully it didn't break. The tip's still on it, so hopefully it didn't hit the ground too hard. Okay. Where is it? There we go. Okay, dioxazine purple hue, violet, and white. So basically I'm going with the same colors that we did for the details on the butterfly. I'm going to start with the dioxazine purple hue, and I think I'm just going to use it on this crease here. And I'm going to fade it out both ways. And I'm going to go in with the violet, just slightly bring that up just a little bit, and bring it down just a little bit. And then I'm going to use my white, which I'm definitely going to clean off first. And I'm going to use this to kind of blend everything out. Okay, and now her face looks completely ridiculous, so we're going to finish that off because that's going to bother me. So I'm going to take my black, and I'm going to come back in and I'm going to darken up her eyelashes. I'm also going to just go around her irises and then her bottom line. And then I'm going to fill in her pupil. So there's one done. That already looks a little bit better. I think I might actually knock back that green a little bit though. Do the same thing on this side, trying to be super careful. Okay, I don't hate it. I definitely think I need practice on putting makeup on the girls though, that's for sure. Just gonna blend this out just a little bit more. Really careful to avoid those black lines that I just put in. So I'm gonna take my Blue Violet Lake and I'm just gonna put that over top of the green just to kind of make it look a little bit less green and more blue. There we go. Okay, I think that's a lot better. So here she is finished. And looking back at it now, I probably should have done green eyes. I don't know what I was thinking. Just a little too blue, but I don't mind it. So yeah, we'll do the background and the final details in the next part, and then that will be it for this color along. And then in December, we're going to be starting the Christmas color along, which the first one should be out on the 1st. So I'm going to start filming that right away as soon as I can. And you guys aren't going to know the winner until you see it for the first time. So excited for that, and can't wait to see you guys in my next part. Bye!